That's right, people. We've got a podcast too. Welcome to A Recent Study Suggest, hosted by
me, Sam, and you, Robert.
That's right, I'm Robert. And what is this podcast about, Sam?
So a lot of studies exist that are kind of silly, and this is just us talking about them, making fun of them, and telling you how we connect to it, even if a little loosely.
Yeah, even if we barely connect to it, we're just going to talk about it. We should just get into it. That's a quick primer. People will understand. We'll talk more about the show later on. But today's study is dealing with teenage dating. Mm-hmm. So, Sam, you were a teenager once before, right?
I was.
Did you date also a teen?
I did. Yes, I did.
Interesting. Today's study is about, like I said, teenage dating, and it's about whether teens who don't date are better off than teens that do date. Mm-hmm. So right off the bat, what do you think? Are teens that don't date, are they better off, are they happier, less depressed than teens that do date?
Absolutely not, because I feel like a lot of the depression that I experienced as a teenager was tied to dating specifically. So I don't understand how that makes anyone better off.
So this study was originally published in the Journal of School Health, but we're reading an article based on that study from Psychology Today.
Yeah, so one of the first things that I noticed when reading this is that the results were straightforward. It says that in every way, the students who did not date were doing better than students who did date, or just as well.
Or just as well? So they did better or just as well.
So basically,
good or bad?
It didn't really matter.
Yeah, I think that will be a common theme throughout this podcast, where we find studies that are, the result is, the thing is normal or a little above or below normal. There's never going to be anything extreme or anything decisive.
And then that's pretty much all that goes on in this study. So with how it was conducted, they did a lot of research with picking out the students. So they tried to make them reasonably diverse. So their way of doing that is like 48% white, 36% black, 12% Latino, 3% multiracial or other, and 1% Asian. And then from there, they just did the study. And
so they wouldn't make diverse, but half of the participants were white?
Yeah, I know. I don't think that counts as reasonably diverse.
Maybe they get a B for effort. No A for effort.
Yeah, they also did student self-reports. And one of the things that I thought was pretty funny was that they tested for was feeling sad or hopeless. So in that...
You felt sad or hopeless?
Yeah.
And you thought that was funny?
No. No. It's what they tested for. The question was, did you ever feel so sad or hopeless almost every day for 2 weeks or more in a row that you stopped doing some usual activities?
That's a very intense question.
It is. I think that's a very loaded question, and that's one where people are so unsure of their answer, like, I don't know, I guess so. So I feel like that alone changes their answers. And then their findings was that teens who don't date are more socially skilled and less depressed. But I feel like that kind of goes against what their results ultimately were.
So teens that don't date are better socially?
I mean, that's what it says. Wait, teens who don't date are more socially skilled and less depressed.
See, I would kind of think, speaking of socially skilled, I would think it's the opposite, because if you're dating, you're kind of like talking to other people. You got to talk to a guy, a girl, and there's more. You usually have more than one relationship, so I would think that you would be talking to more people, kind of getting that confidence of talking to people. So that seems a little weird to me.
You're right, but maybe it's because when you're dating as a teenager, you kind of change yourself to match the person that you're dating.
Okay, so you haven't found yourself yet.
Yeah, so maybe, yeah.
There's no like identity, so you don't necessarily. So I guess if you're single, if you don't date, then you can explore who you are as a person and maybe get more confident that way.
Yeah.
Rather than like when you are dating.
Oh my gosh.
Are we conducting our own study here?
Right? This is where the money should be going. Not to silly studies like this. I mean, it already happened. But yeah. That's true.
Yeah, that's very interesting. See, I looked over this study a little bit. I didn't want to look at it too much. I kind of want to do it to the podcast. So seeing that is kind of That's unexpected to me.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about this study, though, is I feel like it goes back and forth. Like, they really want to emphasize that if you did date as a teenager, then you are somehow superior. But their findings disprove that.
So if you don't date, that you're sort of superior, sort of better off socially and less depressed.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
If you had a random guess, what percentage of, let's say, I guess, Americans, because that's what we live in America, teenagers dated? What percentage of teenage Americans dated?
Dated?
Yeah.
Or date? Currently?
Sure.
If I had to guess how many, I don't know. It would probably be pretty high. Like 70%.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking at least 70%.
Yeah.
So you said you dated, right?
I did date.
You did date. How old were you when you had your first boyfriend?
My first boyfriend.
First boyfriend.
I was not a teenager. Well, I don't know. If you asked like 6-year-old me, then I was probably 6 years old because I was quite in love with Adam Sandler at the time.
Adam Sandler?
But my first boyfriend, I was 11.
Okay. You were 11. So
I was 11.
Preteen, as they would call it.
Yes.
So do you feel at all like were you better off socially, or did you feel less depressed? Like at the time, could you recognize that you felt like, I don't know, were you happier when you were dating? Were you not happier? Could you tell? Or do you only see that now looking back?
I'm like just now thinking about this, and that's crazy. Because no, I don't feel like I was like happier. this is getting kind of dark. I don't think that I was happier that I had a boyfriend at 11 years old. I think that I was probably more depressed. Because I had to keep it a secret, of course.
Oh, secret love.
As you do. In 5th grade as an 11-year-old. Yeah. It made me sad that I couldn't be more honest about my relationship, and I couldn't see him outside of school.
Why couldn't you be more honest about it? Was it something that you were just hiding? Did your parents not let you, or what was this?
All of my friends knew.
All of your friends? Okay.
All of my friends
so
knew.
It wasn't that big of a secret.
No, I had to keep it a secret.
It wasn't like you guys were sneaking off like after school somewhere and like
No.
pretending you didn't know each other in school.
No, we weren't ashamed of being a couple. But yeah, I had to keep it a secret from my parents just because it was very frowned upon to be dating just in general. I think that my parents thought that I would.
You were innocent.
Not that I wasn't innocent. We weren't really doing it. We didn't even hold hands, to be honest. I think that being in a relationship as an 11-year-old was mostly just for the title.
Kind of, so you could brag to your friends.
I guess so.
Because apparently you did, because all of your friends knew.
They did all know. And this was a time where cell phones weren't really a big deal. So I had this clunky, like Nokia pink cell phone, not even a flip phone, and he didn't have a phone at all. And so we couldn't really talk to each other outside of school. And we weren't in the same class either. So we would see each other at recess very briefly. And that was when I was like, I have a boyfriend. So
if you guys couldn't even talk to each other and didn't have any of the same classes, how did this relationship even start?
This is awful. We met in 4th grade.
Okay.
And we knew that we liked each other then. And then in 5th grade...
But you just guys weren't ready to commit.
No, I guess.
You were too early.
Well, I didn't even think about having a boyfriend at that point.
Yeah, you were too young in 4th grade, but 5th grade, yeah, you're more mature.
I guess so. Girls are starting to wear bras, so, like, it's the time. You gotta start dating boys, I guess. Anyway, enough about me. When did you have your first relationship?
I think I was 13.
You think you were 13?
Yeah, I honestly cannot remember, but I think I was 13. And honestly, I'm not sure if I would even call that a relationship, because we were together for like 5 years. Not 5 years. That would be a really long time
Jesus,
relationship. No, we were only together for 5 weeks.
Oh gosh, that's very different. 5 weeks.
Yeah. And and I think maybe like 2 of those weeks was during Hurricane Rita. So I think it was Rita. So we were not in school.
Okay.
We had like, I think it was like 2 weeks, I don't know if you want to call it break, but yeah, it was 2 weeks of us not in school. And we did text a little bit, but this is so bad thinking about it now, but as my first relationship, I was like, oh yeah, I'll do whatever you want. When we went back to school, she didn't want to tell people that we were together.
What?
Mm-hmm. She wanted to keep that a secret. So she said, let's not tell anyone. Let's kind of act normal while we're in school. So I'm like, okay, I guess, I'm all excited. Like, oh, I'm in a relationship. But yeah, looking back at that's probably a big warning sign.
Yeah.
That maybe she doesn't exactly want to be in the relationship, which is weird.
So would you say that you felt less depressed or better off because you were a teen dating?
So at that time, I think I did feel happier because I was in my first relationship, and that was, it's a kind of exciting time. But I think looking back on it, I was not in a relationship that anyone would actually want to be in. Who want to be in a relationship where the person that you're dating doesn't want people to know, right? And this is like your friends, like your friends knew,
yeah,
minus your parents. In my situation, my mom knew, but of course none of my friends did.
That's crazy how that worked out. That's interesting. Aw, poor Robert.
Yeah, and that first relationship was also my first kiss, but I don't even remember how it happened at all, because it started off sort of like kiss on the cheek. This feels like so innocent. Because here I'm at 13 having my first kiss. How old were you when you had first kiss?
I think I was 12.
Okay, so maybe not that long before me.
Yeah.
So yeah, started like kissing on the cheek. Would say I would walk her as far as to her class as I could before I was going to be late, because I had to run back to my class. And so she would just kiss me on the cheek when there was obviously no one else around.
That breaks my heart for you. I'm really rooting for 13-year-old Robert.
And it was throughout the same day, it kind of gradually got closer and closer to my lips.
Oh, so she was making the moves.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I was definitely not making the moves. I was no, definitely not.
Not much has changed.
That's too cold.
Go on.
And yeah, it was, going from the cheek closer and closer to my lips, and I guess by the end of the day, she had kissed me on the lips, but I don't remember exactly when that was or how it was. I don't remember necessarily, like, I guess, feeling any different. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's something people build up in their head as when they're younger. It's like, oh, my first kiss, it's going to be so special. And mine, I don't remember at all. Or did I feel like it was special?
Yeah, I felt different. And I also,
you felt different?
Yeah, I felt different, and I didn't feel like it was special. I felt different because I was angry.
You were angry?
I didn't want him to be my first kiss. I made that very clear, I feel like, to him. Mm-hmm. My friend at the time was forcing us to kiss because I had confided in her and told her that we hadn't kissed, and I was okay with that. And she's like, no, we need to change that. And so we were in middle school, but there was a portion of lunchtime where we were allowed to be outside, and it was almost like recess.
A portion of lunchtime?
Do you remember that? We went to the same middle school.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Everyone had to eat in the cafeteria for like 20 minutes or so, maybe 20, 30 minutes, and then you can go outside.
Yeah, it was so weird.
Kind of like we were in prison.
You know about prison. It's those depressing teenage years with dating. But yeah.
So they wanted to egg you on. So it was like kiss, kiss, kiss.
Essentially, and I was.
Did you have an audience?
You know what? I think that there were a few other of my friends. Now that I'm thinking back, they weren't really friends. But yeah, I had expressed to her that I didn't want to, and I expressed to him as well that I didn't want to, and he ended up kissing me on the lips, and I was very upset. I remember being so upset with her, being upset with him. I think that after that, I stopped talking to her and I gave him the silent treatment. I don't know. I don't know why I was dating him if I didn't even want him to be my first kiss.
Yeah.
I think it was just one of those things. When you are 12 or 13 and someone asks you to be their boyfriend or girlfriend, you almost feel obligated to say yes.
Mm-hmm. I feel like at that stage, you're not ready to like reject someone. You're not ready to like, feel that.
Mm-hmm. And my thinking was, I think he's cute and he's nice. And so, okay. Because my first relationship was so we don't hug, we don't hold hands, we don't text each other. So it was very much just a title. Mm-hmm. So that's almost what I expected to carry on as a 12-year-old. And it was very different. There was hugging involved. He would hold my hand. He once told me I loved him. And I tried to do that thing that I saw somewhere where instead of saying I love you, someone says olive juice.
Mm-hmm. I think it's more not you mouth that to someone so they think you say. You don't say olive juice. They can hear you say olive juice.
So like we're sitting across from each other and I was like, okay, how do I do this? Because I don't know if I love him, but I feel like I need to say it back. So I was like, I love you too. And it sounded very strange and not right. And so after that, then I was obligated to say it whenever he would say it to me. Mm-hmm. Relationships are just really strange when you're 11 and 12. Maybe, and even for you as a 13-year-old.
Yeah. I'm thinking, so like you kind of had an audience when you got here first, because in my head, it's playing out like a show. Like you're in a theater and your friends are all like sitting on a bench and like there's multiple like rows of seats. Then you're on a stage and they can see like it's a scheduled place and time. Like, oh, we're going to be here at after recess or during our lunch, whatever. And we can see Sam and her boyfriend kiss. And everyone's so excited for you. Like
they all knew and I had no idea. No, there weren't.
It's like you're going to be in a play that you didn't rehearse production. For.
Yeah. It was not the kind of first kiss that I imagined in my head. So yeah, like I said, I definitely felt different just because I was angry.
So yeah, I guess beforehand you were kind of like annoyed. Like, I don't want to do this. Don't like, telling your friend, no. I was telling you that I'm okay with not kissing him. Mm-hmm. And she being like, no, you have to kiss him.
Yeah. I think that these are just very defining years for you. And that was just kind of stripped from me. I was just... Don't do that. Like, don't do that to people. Like, oh, you haven't kissed yet? Kiss, kiss, kiss. Like, that's awful. So I can understand how depression is heightened from dating as a preteen or a teen, especially if you're being forced to kiss during lunch, recess, whatever the heck. So
lunch, recess. I completely forgotten about that. Yeah. So a little off topic or a sidetrack. It came to the point by like 8th grade that outside time would be completely taken away from us and we would have to be eating our lunch in silence.
Oh my gosh. That was awful.
Yeah,
we had to have silent lunches because we were too loud.
Yeah, I guess, a bunch of teenagers in a cafeteria, that's too loud for people. I mean, they shouldn't be expected to talk. Right?
Yeah. That school was kind of awful. We couldn't even wear color in our shoes, and we had to pay money to wear a little wristband on Fridays to be able to wear colorful shoes.
Colorful shoes? See, I remember you had to pay money to wear jeans.
That
they had,
too.
Jeans Friday.
We had to pay to wear our clothes.
Clothes that you already own.
Yeah. And I remember because I was short, this has nothing to do with having to pay for our clothes, but because I was short, my jeans would drag, or not my jeans, my pants, my khaki pants, they would drag. And so I would have to go to the principal's office very often and duct tape the bottoms of my jeans or staple them because somehow that looked better than my jeans dragging on the floor.
Did you feel embarrassed doing that?
I did.
I imagine so. Because as a teenager, you kind of really care what other people think of you. And then this is something that everyone can easily see.
Yeah. I think that just made the situation worse. Also, we weren't allowed to wear jewelry. And so I would go to the principal's office as well just to take off my jewelry, and it was pretty humiliating. Middle school was rough.
So let's go back to the relationship. So did you in middle school, did you have a lunch with this your boyfriend at the time?
Did I have lunch with him?
Did you have, or how many classes did you have with him? How often would you see him?
You know, honestly, I think I only had one class with him, and it was first period, and it was history. We do have history. Yeah. I think we might have had lunch together, but he always made me feel uncomfortable because he would put his arm around me, kind of like claiming me.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that? I don't know if I even... Did we talk in 6th grade?
I don't think so. I don't think we knew each other then.
No, I think we met in 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And even then we barely talked.
Unfortunately, yeah. I wanted to talk to you. I thought you were so cute and funny, and you just didn't like me.
I did not like you. I just...
You know what? We weren't dating. I wasn't dating anybody at that time, and I think I was depressed as a kid not dating.
So the opposite of the study. You wanted to date.
So maybe I was just depressed. Maybe my teenage years were just all depressing, and this whole study is moot.
Yes, so sad dating and sad not dating.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
So you did get to see, so you only had first period with this guy. You didn't have like lunch or anything with him?
Yeah, I feel like we did have lunch, and like I said, he would put his arm around me sometimes when we were having lunch, and it just was like strange to me to have physical intimacies. I don't know if that's even the right word. At 12 years old, it was just very uncomfortable to me. I think we would go outside during our after eating outside time sometimes, but yeah, other than that, we wouldn't see each other outside of school, and that was pretty much it.
So you wouldn't see each other outside of school?
No.
Okay,
that was not a thing for a while.
Yeah. Did your parents know at this time that you had started dating or that you were in a relationship?
Oh, no.
Still not yet?
No, my okay, so I wouldn't tell my dad, but it wasn't until I was maybe 16 or 17 that I finally told my mom that I had boyfriends. Not at the same time. But
gave her a heart attack?
God, no. Yeah, it wasn't until then that I told her, and then she was perfectly okay with it. Like, what is she going to do? It already happened. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I was very honest with her.
So was it a big relief for you? Did you feel like, as you were going to tell her, that were you nervous, or... What kind of reaction did you expect? You know, because you hid it from them, so you obviously thought that they were going to be just... Or at least your mom, that you thought she was going to be mad?
Right. I don't know. I think that my mom and I had reached a point in our relationship where we were very open. Mm-hmm. And I was like, there's nothing, like, what is she going to do? It doesn't really matter. She trusts me, and it was fine. And I think that as a teenager dating, you have this assumption that, like, your parent is going to disown you completely. Mm-hmm. Or at least that was my experience because I had such strict parents. You just assume that they're going to think of you differently, or you're never going to be able to speak to this person again. And at that point, I had a cell phone. Maybe my cell phone's going to be taken away. So there was a lot of stakes involved.
Interesting. Okay, so I want to tell you a little bit more about the girl I was dating at the time. Like I said, I said we were together for 5 weeks, but if I'm remembering correctly, those were not in a row. I think it was like 3
in total.
Yeah, I think it was 5 weeks in total. I think it was like 3 weeks in a row. Then she broke up with me for whatever reason, and then decided I changed my mind, let's date again. And I think it was that second time that the hurricane hit. I remember very vividly how we broke up because because she did not do it in person or even like to me. She had someone else.
Oh my gosh.
Break up.
Yep. Classic.
For her.
That's middle school. Mm-hmm.
And she did it through a note.
Oh God. So someone else handed you the note.
Someone else handed me a note. Because because I asked you if you had lunch with him Mm-hmm. I did not have lunch with her. I think I did have a couple of classes with her, but no lunch. So I remember this lunch period, I was talking to my friends and, having a good time, having fun, being doing teenage things, eating, talking, those kind of things.
Teenager thing, yeah.
Teenager things you do in a cafeteria. And I remember one of her friends was like, "Oh, here's this note for you," and I had no idea what it was. I'm like, "Okay, this friend of hers, I'd never really talked to her, so I'm like, why is she handing me a note? What is this thing?"
I wish we could drop names. Like, talk about this later. Go on.
And I opened the note, and it's not a very long note. It's maybe 3-4 sentences, but
3-4 sentences. Just say it's over.
But I remember the line that sticks with me to this day is that we can't be together anymore because I feel like I've changed. And teenager me, as I was reading them, I'm like, what? Even now, I'm still like, what does this even mean? You'd only been together, like I said, total 5 weeks. How much really did you change during that time? I feel like I feel like you're overcompensating in a way for like, oh, it's not you, it's me.
Yeah. Like, how can I say this slightly differently?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. When you're 13, in a couple of weeks, you can change. Some people go through growth spurts.
Do you?
I don't think we ever caught that though. I'm still waiting on that one.
Yeah, me too. I'm actually really tall. No one can see us. I'm actually really tall. I'm like 6'8".
Oh. 6'8".
I feel like that. Is that the goat height?
The greatest of all time? I guess so, yeah.
No, I actually think that like the goat height's maybe like 6'2". Not too tall, but like...
I don't know. 6'2" is rather tall. I don't know. I'm 4'10". I'm not gonna lie. I'm 4'10", so...
Oh, I didn't lie either.
Right, so...
6'8".
6'2" to me is just too much because I think I would be under their shoulder.
Yeah. I guess it also depends on how tall you are.
For me, like 5'11" is that sweet spot.
5'11"?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's only 3 inches difference between 6'2", so you don't...
I don't know. Robert, if someone is 3 inches taller, that's 3 inches that I'm under their shoulder, and that makes a difference. That makes it look like I'm their little sister.
I guess so. Anyway, height aside, you were dating. Do you remember the breakup?
Do I remember the breakup?
And do you remember, did you break up with him? Did he break up with you?
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure I broke up with him. We were... So, 12-year-old me dating at this... I don't know why we're talking about 12-year-old me, because I was not a teenager at this time. But 12-year-old me, this is a different boy from 11-year-old.
Okay.
Yeah. We dated off and on. And I think it was mostly because he kept asking me to be his girlfriend, and it was so stupid that I just always felt obligated to say yes.
Oh, so he just wore you down.
Yeah,
That's the kind of relationship you want to be
in. I always broke up with him.
You didn't want to be with him.
Yeah, obvious. Now in hindsight, yeah. I always broke up with him. Yeah.
So would you do it to his face? Would you text him? Would you have someone else do it for you? Like in my case?
Honestly, it happens so many times. At some point, he moved to a different school.
Okay.
So we would talk on the phone a lot, and I would break up with him over the phone often. I can't remember if I ever broke up with him in person, but I have done the giving him a note thing.
Oh, you have?
Not to him, though.
Okay.
It was to someone else. I wrote a note, and that was because it was really hard for me. I couldn't face him whatsoever. So that I've only done that once, though, breaking up with someone through a note. Yeah, I don't know. There's just something about it. And like, I think it was one of those things where like in middle school, did you ever receive those notes that were like folded really nicely, like the origami thing, and you pull it and it's like, open here, and you open it. And I think I even folded it like that too.
You wanted to give it to him. You wanted to break up with him in style. You kind of make him feel like, oh, this note's really cool. How she folded it and stuff. I wonder how she did it. And he opens it and he's like, oh, she's breaking up with me again.
You know what? I think I also had my friend give it to him. I was awful.
So you were just telling me how my girlfriend at the time breaking up was awful, and you did the exact same thing.
I did. You know what? I might have been 13 at that point too.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But at least your note was folded nicely. This one was just like folded over once.
Aw. And you know what? I think like your breakup letter, it was a few lines as well. Wow.
So what I'm thinking, so my letter was just folded over once. So like it's not also bad enough that you're getting broken up with in a letter, but then have someone, the friend, that most likely also read it because it wasn't like stapled or in an envelope.
That's true.
That's like thinking back of that. That's got to be kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
You know, like kind of humiliating.
She didn't want everyone to know that you were dating, but she didn't mind people knowing that she was breaking up with you. That's so sad.
I guess so.
See, dating as a teenager is depressing. This whole study, you know, maybe. I don't know.
So I guess what we're getting at this is any teenagers listening, don't date.
Yeah, basically.
You'll be happier somehow and better off socially.
But we were teenagers when we started dating.
Yeah, we were.
We were.
So
and I'm happy.
You're happy now.
Yeah.
So I did have a relationship. Well, so part of the study says that they're less impressed. They are less depressed and better off socially, and sometimes do better in school if they don't date. I will say that in one of my relationships, I did start not doing so well in school. I was one of those kids that, you know, usually get A's, a few B's here and there.
Brag about it, Robert.
No big deal. You know, I'm smart and I'm 6'8". So yeah, in one of my relationships, I did kind of start like losing focus in school. I remember it was literally the only class in middle school that I got a C in. In all 3 years of middle school, the only class that I got a C in. It was a history class or like social studies or some geography class.
That's where the problems always start. It's always history.
Yeah, I guess so. So yeah, I remember, like I said, losing focus in that, and like I like wouldn't care because I would spend most of that time texting her.
Is this the same as the girl who broke up with you?
No.
Is it another girl?
No, this is another girl.
This is another girl in middle school.
Uh-huh.
You dated another girl in middle school.
Yeah.
Did you really?
And so yeah, I was just, you know, kind of lost focus, like I said, and it's just so I can see how maybe teenagers who don't date, you know, they were able to focus more on school and stuff. So did you ever feel like you maybe like were paying less attention in school when you were dating?
Yes.
Oh, no, yes. Easily as that. You didn't even think about it.
Yes, definitely, for sure. Yeah, I think that I spent a lot of my time in classes, especially like in middle school, and yeah, I think it was especially in middle school, either passing notes with my friends, talking about the boys that we were dating, or I don't know that I would text these boys though, because taking out your phone was more serious than taking out a sheet of paper. Mm-hmm. Because I don't care if the teacher takes away that sheet of paper. Or
they think you're taking notes. So you think they think you're being a good student.
Yeah, sharing my notes with my friend. Yeah.
When in reality you weren't.
And the thing is, we didn't even make it easy for ourselves because we would always refold it in that same way, that like origami way. So it definitely looked like we were taking notes. So
here's something something different about us. So you said you were talking about to your friends about all the boys you guys were dating. I was the type of person that I wouldn't necessarily, I don't know if there's a guy girl thing where like maybe guys are more like I don't know, secretive, I guess, for lack of a better term, with like who they're dating, or like I was never like braggadocious about it. I would never like go around telling all my guy friends like, oh, I'm you know, I'm dating this girl, and like, who are you dating, and let's talk about who we're dating, and like, oh, have you kissed her yet? Oh, have you not kissed her yet? You should kiss her. We should force you to kiss. We should start a play and set a time, and you know, put it on a calendar, and we'll go see when you guys first kiss. I was never like that. I wasn't like sharing with any of my friends, mm-hmm. regardless. I don't know if that's just a me thing or that's a guy girl thing.
I don't know. I was very much so in love with Twilight at the time, and so Bella was dating Edward. And relationships just seemed like so endearing. Fun? Yeah, like, I don't know. There was just something about it. And so I think, you know, teenager me kind of wanted to be like Bella Swan. I wanted to find my Edward. Or my Jacob.
How is that?
Jacob.
I never read in the book. So what do you mean when you teenage you wanted to be Bella Swan? Like you wanted to be.
Okay, maybe I didn't want to be Bella Swan, but I wanted to find an Edward or a Jacob. Maybe that's what it was, because Bella was very socially awkward and she was tripping all over the place, and I don't know that I was very much like that. Maybe, well, I couldn't trip because my jeans weren't dragging because I had to staple them and duct tape them, so that wasn't happening. But yeah, I definitely wanted to find my Edward or my Jacob.
Okay, interesting. So, but you did have that relationship with your friends where you would tell them who you were dating, and you guys would have, like, I don't know, girl talk, I guess.
Yeah, we would have that very often because we would have sleepovers and we would always talk about boys.
Did you guys have pillow fights too?
No, we did not.
Okay. So that's just in the movies.
Yes, that is just in the movies. We did not have pillow fights, and none of us were cheerleaders.
Oh, really? None of you were cheerleaders? Okay, well, so movies just lie to us.
Basically.
Movies just lie to us. Sorry to spoil your dreams, guys. So is there anything else in the study that caught your eye or that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think so. With the findings, it says that students who did not date did not differ from those who did in their tendency to think about suicide. And then in some, it says that students who did not date were in some ways no different than those who did. So it basically just undoes all of the studies that they did previously. And then it ends with saying that it's important to note, as they always do, that studies like this don't tell us anything definitive about causality. So basically, what's the point?
What's the point? So they did a study on finding out how teens behave, if they do better socially, if they're less happy, and it's just like, yeah, they could be, or they could not be.
Yeah. I think that it just depends on the person. It could depend on many different factors. And I think just who you surround yourself with, who your friends are. Because I think that easily, if I continue to be friends with the people who were forcing me to kiss my first boyfriend, or second boyfriend, sorry. I don't think that I would be very happy. So I think that your teenage years are just kind of meant to be slightly depressing and angsty and all over the place. So it really doesn't make much of a difference if you date or not.
So I was about to ask you if, like, what kind of piece of advice that you would tell your teenage self now. And I guess, like, you kind of answer that question. Maybe don't necessarily kiss someone because you don't, or kiss someone that you don't want to, or feel peer pressured to kiss someone. And I think mine would be like, don't date someone who doesn't want to let anyone know that you're dating.
Yeah.
So that was a very interesting look into our dating lives and into this specific study that kind of had no conclusion, really, if you think about it.
Yeah. I have some follow-up questions for you, though, after this, so you can drop some names.
Some post-show stuff.
But yeah, I think this is really fun to talk about, and I think that it's important to look into studies like this sometimes and question, like, what's the point of this?
Yeah, if you guys find any studies, you can email us in at a recent study suggest at gmail.com, or you can tweet at us. We are at a recent study pod, and that's also our Instagram handle. If you guys want to see any pictures, we are currently underneath a furniture pad fort.
Yeah.
And it's getting kind of warm in here.
Yeah, so, it is. And you might be able to see Robert in his 6'8" stature and my 4'10". So, yeah.
The camera sometimes makes you appear shorter, so don't be surprised if I appear a little shorter, right. Like maybe like by a foot.
All right. Well, I think that's it.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to our first episode. Be sure to tune in to our next episode and rate us 5 stars on wherever you're listening to us.
Or 6.
Or 6. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.